when they say protect Black women, I just want to know, to you guys, like to you all, ladies, what does that look like to you? What does protecting Black women look like?
For me, it's being able to advocate, especially in situations where they need maybe physical protection, but it's being able to advocate and also being able to educate them. You have, and that starts when we are little Black girls, being able to educate us on different things, because little girls turn into adult women. And so you have to be able to advocate for them and educate them as well.
I think for me, one of the biggest things is, are you holding the other men around you accountable when you're hearing them speak, negatively and speak disrespectfully to Black women, about Black women? Are you checking them? Because that is a good way that you can protect a Black woman when they're not even around. Are you stepping up and saying, nah, don't say that? Like, that doesn't fly with me. Are you, distancing yourself from people that do think like that? I think that's a major step that more men can be doing.
I definitely agree. It takes me back to a story about a Black woman who was being I guess harassed by racist white neighbors, and you had people that was coming out, that was driving from wherever they was coming from long miles, to sit in front of her house overnight and watch her house. That is what protecting a Black woman is about. It was white men, it was Black men, like that's what it all comes down to, because I don't know, I feel like sometimes we can be invisible. I feel like sometimes we can be how can I put this? A gateway to, it's a word that I'm looking for. It's gonna come to me. Give me time. Like, it's gonna come to me later. But I just feel like that was one situation. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things, as far as, because I'm not gonna lie, I've never been in a situation like that before, where I've had racists come to me or harass me or attack me or feel like I'm beneath them. So for that, it really opened my eyes to saying, dang, this is what it's like to have protection as a Black woman. This is what it's like, especially with social media around. Like, let's think about it. Nobody would have never known had it not been for social media. Like, when you put it out there, you see your allies come out. You see those that you thought were allies that are not really allies. They're just doing it for the public. They're doing it for showboating. So it's just, I think protecting, it's not necessarily like, I guess you could say, what, as far as physical appearance, I think it's more of, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Or what, like I ask my white allies all the time, I'm like, are you doing this because we're friends? Are you doing this because this is really how you feel? And that's one of the things I had to really sit down and talk to my white allies or white friends about, that are in the same position as me, that have made it in their career. And when all this was going on, I had to say to myself, like, y'all are really quiet. Like, sometimes you have to call out your white friends, and you have to say, what is your take on this? Sometimes you just have to go out on a limb and say, well, how do you feel about this? Hey, with the whole Breonna Taylor situation, I said, are you just saying it because it sounds good? Or are you saying it because this is really how you feel? Like, and that's how you start really noticing it and really truly depicting how a person is in their character. So I guess it just comes down to some allies, I will say, that claim to be allies don't really be allies. They just be in there for themselves. And then you do have those that are truly out there fighting for, Black women, Black males. Like, it just depends. Like, I done had to cut off some, so it is.
No, it's a collective of all those things that everyone has said. If you hear somebody degrading me or degrading any woman or Black woman, stand up for me. Tell them, hey, yo, that ain't cool. That's just like the whole being in high school, or being in school, period. Like, okay, are you worried about being with the cool crowd, or are you trying to do what's right? You know right from wrong. You know what's up. That's just like how people were waiting for certain celebrities to come out and do this and do that. And it's like, when they do it, then they turn off the comments. No, don't turn off the comments. Let's see what people have to say. Let me know how you want people to feel, and let me see how people feel. This year has been the year of vision. 2020, everybody was looking forward to it for being this, that, and the other. But it's the year of vision. We're honestly and truly seeing everyone for who they really are. We have a president out there that says whatever he wants and is a complete clown. And shouldn't have, but we all know he says what he wants, he does what he wants, and does not care. And for anyone who can care less about someone's life, like I said, at the end of the day, just doing the small things, such as speaking up for me when I'm not around. Don't do it just because I'm right there. Do it because you know it's right for you to do.
And I think, like, to piggyback off of Joy, like, protecting Black women, it's not a fun hashtag. Like, it's not a fad, like, where there's like, okay, we're doing it. That's what we're doing today, y'all. All right, cool. And then like tomorrow we're, doing the complete opposite. Like, I don't think that protecting Black women should be like, I don't think it should be a thing. Like, it should be something that's second nature. Like, it shouldn't be something that they're coming together and they're saying, hey, this is what we're going to choose to do. I think that it's something that you should be born with that. You should want to protect Black women, especially Black men, because your mother is Black. You have somebody Black a Black woman in your life that is important to you, that has something to do with where you are today. So I just hate when they make protecting Black women a cool thing on social media for a few days, and then something happens and they get distracted. And then once it's cool again, they come back to it. Right. So like, I just think it's about being consistent with it, being genuine with it, and making it more a part of your life than, making it a checklist. Like, oh, did I protect Black women today? It should be something that you're doing without even thinking about it.
Right. Absolutely, Chanel. I totally agree with you. It should become second nature to you. You shouldn't even have to think about, am I protecting a Black woman today? And you don't go out and looking for, hey, let me go find this Black woman to protect. No, if you see something, say something, do something, stop what's happening. Just like we protect you, we want that reciprocated back to us. You never have to ask us now one time to go protect that Black man, or go protect, stand up for what's right, or, or speak up, or anything like that. It's second nature to us. You never have to really ask. Especially when it comes to being a Black female in the media industry. How important is it during this time to pretty much stand your ground and just, speak up, or just pretty much just be in that space and occupy that space and being in the sports media during a time like this?
I think it's very important. What can I say? Is with us being in media, I feel like for me personally, I'm always going to be true to who I am as an individual, as a Black woman, and as a woman in general. I've always been the outspoken one. I hate to say it, even during my internships, I was very outspoken. There's just certain things, I think it also because of the way I grew up. Like, there's just certain things I'm not going to let you think that because I'm the only Black person in this, I'm not even just gonna say Black woman, but the only Black intern in this, I guess you could say, environment, that you're not gonna treat me any differently. You're not gonna make me do something different than my other white counterparts. So I think I'm known, I'm very vocal. Like, if I don't like something, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna make sure that whatever happens then, and if it's not right, you're going to know. I'm not gonna wait later down the road. And I think within this industry, it's hard. It's very hard. One incident I could speak on with the whole Maria Taylor, well, she's been in two that are really big to me. The situation with Nick Saban that happened a couple years ago, where she wanted to interview him. Everybody knows Nick Saban. He's the head football coach of Alabama. Everybody knows he does not like media. He thinks media is evil. He thinks they are just they lie. So it's just, with the whole situation that happened with her, I thought to myself, well, dang, had that been somebody white, would he have reacted the way that he did? And it goes back to her in this previous situation with the radio host from Chicago. And it's like, Jesus, like, for some reason, we can't, as Black women in media, we can't help the way we dress. We can't help the way we're shaped. For instance, the young lady that worked for, I want to say, did she work for WFAA? She was a weather person. They ran her off. She ended up going because of the way she was built. Like, seriously, you're so busy worried about how I look and what I'm wearing that you can't even focus on the content that I'm giving that's going to help you, whether it's healing, if your car is going to get held on. Like, that makes a big difference. And I think it's for Black women to be in media in particular. It's like, let's see their weaknesses. Let's nitpick at what they're doing wrong. That's why I feel like we said earlier, no matter what we do, it's never gonna be enough. And that's one of the things that I don't know if y'all know her. Her name is Brittany. She's a women, genders, and studies African-American professor at Rutgers. And she talks about this. It's a book she wrote. I actually wrote it down for y'all if y'all are interested in reading it. But her name is Brittany Cooper, and she wrote Elegant Rage and Black Feminist Discovers the Superpower. It basically talks about the Black woman, whether it's in media, whether whatever occupation, career path that they're on. And it's basically telling us about our racial inequality within the white supremacy of the system that we basically uphold or that we're in. And we can't help it because at the end of the day, this society is ran by white men, white male. We have to understand that as Black women, we might be at a lower percentage, but at the end of the day, we're definitely higher knowledgeable than them. So I think that's something when we go in, whether it's media, whether it's becoming a doctor, the medical field, we need to understand that we Black women are the most intellectual group of human beings that there is. And I think with that being said, that should hold a power in fact within yourself when you're going in media, and don't never let anybody tell you what you can and cannot do. And that's just the mentality that I have in when I'm doing my news anchoring, when I'm doing my sports anchoring, my sports analyst, I make sure that I'm up on cue. I make sure that I'm I make sure that I'm prepared. That is like the one thing. The moment we go into this not prepared, oh, that's already strike one. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, strike two because you're a Black woman. So that's strike one. So it's just, you have to make sure you're always on your A game. And when you're on your A game, baby, they can't tell you nothing. No matter the critics that come out, the woodworks, I don't let none of that get to me. I just learned that when I'm in media and I do what I do, and I learn what I do is I go back and I look at critique myself, because at the end of the day, I know what I'm capable of, and I know the type of person, the type of anchor, the type of sports analyst that I'm going to be. And when you critique yourself and you make yourself better, that's all that matters. I love it. I call it Black.
And I think and I think it's important for I think it's important for us to be in media right now, especially, like sports in particular as well, because just like during the whole NBA bubble, like Taylor Rooks' content was the best content that was out. She was telling our stories. She was talking to all the athletes. And these athletes, first of all, these athletes are Black. You know what I'm saying? They want to speak to a Black woman. They would love to speak to a Black woman because we know what you're going through. You know how to speak to me. What I care about, you probably care about. And I think that's something that a lot of athletes take for granted, because I don't see it talked about enough when it comes to them. Because they need to say, we need more I want to talk to more Black women, because they're the ones that, we have to talk to them. So I think they need to be a little bit more vocal as far as talking to Black women and wanting to talk to Black women, because what they say kind of goes. If they want to talk to Black women, then people are going to hire more Black women. And if we don't have Black women in the sports or in the media field, our stories will never get told. And that's why it's so important for Black women to hold all of these positions everywhere. And whether it's sports, whether it's being teachers, because there's going to be that teacher that lets you know, hey, you wear your hair, you can wear your hair how you want to wear it. We need those teachers. We need those Black women to, uplift the next generation, because without that, then they don't have anything to look forward to. They don't have anything that they can look up to.
Yeah,
absolutely right, Chanel. Oh, go ahead, Courtney.
I wanted to piggyback off of Chanel because, you know, the need that she's talking about right now is probably the most I've ever seen it. Like, I'm the only Black woman on the team that I work on, but I can see that I am actually needed because there are stories that are going to fall through the cracks if I'm not the one that's pitching them, because they don't see the things the way I see them. They don't view the world the way that I view it. And, you know, that's why I want Black women to continue, even though right now it's hard, continue to push that envelope. Like, I will say, like, all of my producers, they know they're going to hear my mouth every time we have a meeting. You know, you're going to hear from me. You know, you're going to hear a really Black idea from me. Like, and you know what? But they've really come to appreciate it and to realize that that was, you know, something that they were lacking before they had me. Before I was on this show, they had to kind of sit back and say, you know what, we're missing a very major demographic. Like, we weren't getting these kinds of ideas. And that's why I just want all of the Black women that even when we get defeated, and even when things aren't going the way we want them to go, like, know that you are needed and you are absolutely necessary to continuing to telling our stories. Without us, our stories will not get told.
Yeah, it's basically using your platform and still breaking barriers for yourself to show others that you can do it as a Black woman. And then you reach back and you help others in your same position come along the way with you. You don't leave anybody behind. You have to keep breaking barriers.
Absolutely, ladies. And kind of how what Chanel and Courtney was speaking about, you need that Jemele Hill. You need her. She's the first lady, first sports person I got on that looked like me on a TV screen with micro braids in her head. I could wear braids. You know, at this point, I could wear braids. She did it. She speak her truth and she stand by her truth. It may have cost her, you know, her position that she had at one point, but now look at her now. She's in a better position. And now these same, the same sports, you know, the same, I guess, the same companies or whatever, now they're looking at her thinking like, hey, I should have listened. If we would have listened the first time, we would have been on top of this already. During this light of the whole social injustice and everything that's going on, everybody now want to take their stands. If we would have listened to her in the beginning, we would have been already ahead of the game, you know? And that's the thing. Now, a lot of these different, I guess, organizations and different companies, they are now, I guess, more equipped to trying to listen to that Black woman or listen to that Black male, but more so the Black woman. Because they know they are aware of our intelligence. They know that we're very intellectual and we know what we're talking about for most times, but they are listening. But speaking of the sports industry, as we recover from this pandemic, and now we see sports are starting to get back on the roll, and we also seeing a lot of these different leagues starting to take their stands or showing their support in the pretty much calling out social inequality and police brutality. How do you guys think these leagues are doing? We could give you a few examples as far as, you know, the NBA and the bubble supporting full behind Black Lives Matter. NLB, they're giving out t-shirts that says Black Lives Matter, giving them some time to do things. Even in tennis, our young sister tennis star, she came out with the mask for every match. And who am I missing? Even with NASCAR, by just acknowledging and taking down the Confederate flag. So how do you guys feel these different leagues are doing with their stands against, you know, police brutality and social inequalities?
I think like, exactly, like, it's nice, but if we would have listened or watched the WNBA a few years ago, or if we would have sat and really listened to what Colin Kaepernick was talking about, you know, if we would listen to these Black people and, you know, these Black women, we wouldn't be playing catch up. We wouldn't be, you know, kind of trying to figure out, okay, what is it that we do? What is it that's going on? All right, it's like giving someone the answers for a test, like weeks ahead of time. The test comes and the night before, they're like up late, they're tired because they didn't study the study sheet that was given 5 weeks ago. And I mean, I'm happy. It's cute, it's nice what these leagues are doing, but I feel like, you know, the WNBA, they were doing this ahead of time, like way before, and no one everyone was just like, oh, they're just women. What are they doing? Oh, Colin Kaepernick, he doesn't want to play. Like it just, I can't be too happy because it's like, we already saw this. You ignored it. What you're doing is damage control now. And you're only doing it because everyone else is doing it. MLB didn't play because NBA didn't play. It it wasn't, and it wasn't even NBA. It was one team that wasn't going to play. And then the NBA was like, oh, okay, I guess we don't want to play either. Like it wasn't anything that was genuine. And that's what I see when I'm looking at these leagues. I'm glad that they're doing something, because if they weren't, we would be angry, to be honest. But I just feel like we have to start listening to people, and we have to start trusting our players, trusting our coworkers, trusting our, people that are working for us, because if they would have listened, if they would have watched Colin Kaepernick, if they would have listened to the WNBA, we wouldn't be playing this catch-up game of what's going on. Oh my gosh, everyone's mad, they don't want to watch it. But it's because you're not listening. It's because you think that it's something that it's not, when all you have to do is listen, because this was happening years before what happened this year.
Chanel makes a great point. And I think to piggyback with that, I think with playing catch up, the Milwaukee Bucks did the best they could at this point in time, because they took it a step further. Like, yeah, the shirts is cute, the kneeling is cute, but to take it further and get the attorney general involved, to make that phone call, to shut everything down, and then you had the domino effect of everybody else falling in line, but you had to be the one that started. It had to start somewhere. And then now you have stadiums opening up to be, places for voter registration and polling places and things like that. So it has to start somewhere. And so for me, I can really appreciate what the Milwaukee Bucks did in this situation.
Yeah, with that, it's just everyone's trying to figure out that seat at the table on where do I fit in? How do I get this started? How do I do this? And like with Milwaukee, loved everything about it, because if people remember, Orlando was on the court practicing, waiting for the game to start. And that's the thing that people fail to realize. It wasn't like, oh, we're not going to play because of all the injustice that's going on. So it makes me feel like, okay, are you sincere? Are you truly saying that our Black lives matter? And so it's like, okay, it's cute. You're saying it. You're wearing the shirt. You have the little nicknames on the back, but do you know what those things really mean? You have some people who are on the teams that are Black, but you have a lot of them that come from different countries, and they don't really deal with those type of things. And so it's just, hey, are you really truly understanding what you're saying and what's being plastered around the court? NFL, I'm just like, you're over here saying in racism, but a few years ago, you pretty much blackballed a Black man for saying, hey, this is what's happening. It gives you that point of words cannot explain, because it's like, okay, you are the same people that were in the office a few years ago that said this, but now you're saying this. Which one is it? Is it true? Is it true? Are you only doing this because you see someone else doing it? It's like, okay, so is this just for a moment? Are you going to continue to do this? Are you going to continue to say these things? Are you going to continue to advocate for our lives? So.
Yeah, no, I just like all of you have said, like, it's nice to see, but for me, I want to know, are the millionaires and billionaires that own the teams, that own a team full of Black people, are you going to do things that align with the views of the people that literally work for you? Like, are you actually listening, or are you still looking out for your best interest because you have $1 million company? And like, I get that at the end of the day, but I think that one of the best things about what the Bucks did, like Mia said, they were able to really coordinate with the people in Wisconsin to make some change happen before they were going to step back on the court again. And that's what I think across all of the leagues, that's what I think the messaging needs to be. You need to come in with your action items with, we're not going to play football. We're not going to play basketball. We're not going to do nothing until you do A, B, C, and D.
Absolutely.
And once you really start putting that fire to their owners, especially, that's when I genuinely believe that we'll see some change, because it, like we said, we saw what happened after one day of everyone in the NBA saying, oh, we're not playing. We saw that it was breaking news. It was, okay, we have to figure out what we're going to do next. So if everybody can keep that same energy, and really, I know that it has to be hard. You want to support your family. You don't want to put anyone else's futures at risk. Of course not. But I do think that it's big enough. I think this is a big enough issue for maybe we could put down one paycheck. Like, you could get the rest of them, but maybe, let's all be on this united front together, and then we'll go from there. But I just know, like, the NFL, like, it is my favorite league to watch. It is my least favorite league just by the way that they operate. And like, I don't know, like, I don't think I can be any really more disappointed in the way that they move. Like, I know what it is at the end of the day. And I feel like, even when it came down to the CBA that the players were negotiating, that like 500 players didn't even read it. So, we have to keep that in mind when we're asking for things like this. We have to keep in mind that not everybody actually cares. So they're not going to do the right thing sometimes because they don't actually care.
Courtney, you hit it right there, because the NFL is such a disappointment to me when it comes to this issue, because the majority of the entire NFL as players, you guys are Black. And, and you had someone that sacrificed his entire career to stand up for what was right, and you guys did not really rally behind him. It took a situation like what happened this year for you guys to even put a name on the back of your helmet, and to hear, Roger Goodell, for me, I put him up in the same category as Trump a lot of times, because he's not going to, genuinely stand up and say, hey, this is not right, or hey, I support my players for what they really care about, because why? My players make up the mass majority of my organization, and so it's really disappointing to watch, because we all love the game of football. Football is American sport, but I guess besides baseball or whatnot. But for us, it's America's sport, and to see like all of our brothers and people that go out and they play week in, week out, and just for them taking a knee during the national anthem, they get torn down and they get all this type of flack on social media from people. And hey, but you just cheered for me for scoring this touchdown. But you mad at me because I'm taking a stance for something that I believe in wholeheartedly. And then you have people, and I would say I am more proud of the WNBA, but WNBA, they've been doing their thing. But more proud of the NBA for really kind of sticking with their stance, because you have owners behind their team. You have, GMs and general managers and people behind their team. You have the bubble pretty much behind the movement. And not only are they advocating for the social injustices, they're also advocating for, hey, go out and vote. Make sure you vote. During every post and interview, they're talking about voting, or they're talking about Breonna Taylor's, or they're talking about the George Floyd's of the world. They're making sure their voices are being heard. But then you also have the critics that want to tell them to shut up and dribble, or shut up and run the ball. So when does those two things collide? Is it possible, I guess I would say, to go ahead and be a part of the solution and doing your job? Like, when does that collide? Like, is it possible to still use your platform and stand up for what you believe in, but still do your job?
I think it is
possible. You're going to have criticism either way, though. So it's very possible, and you have to stand up for what you believe in, because at the end of the day, it is a job, and you still have to come home and live this Black life. So and you have family members who have to live the same thing, and so you have to be willing to take a stand for yourself and your family, and then your brothers and sisters, whom you might not even know. You have to be willing to stand up for that.
I believe you can coincide with those things, but like Mia said, it is hard because at the end of the day, you're gonna get criticized one way or another. You get the, oh, shut up and dribble, and just play the game. And then it's on the Black side, it's like, but you're not speaking up, you're not doing enough, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. So it's like it doesn't matter what you do. You want, as a player, you want to use your platform, and especially when you have this following, for people to actually listen, like, hey, this is what's going on. Let's start to change some things. Let's do this, let's do that. But like I said, you'll never be able to please everyone. It's always going to be down the middle in a 50-50 thing. You can never please everyone.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's definitely feasible. I think it just comes with sacrifices, and it comes down to, are those athletes willing to sacrifice their money? Are they willing to sacrifice, and at some point it could be their life? And I think that's something that they need to understand as a Black athlete. Just because and I had to, when I went to LSU, that was one of the biggest things I've seen. This is a white organization. Most of the people on there are Black. It's just, I have to tell them, you do realize that what if you was just a Black kid that came here on an academic scholarship, would you still have the same privileges as being the Black athlete? Would you still have white people in your faces cheering you on, saying, hey, go this, go that, and then later on, you don't have the ball anymore? So I think it comes to, there was a couple people that I know who are now in the league from LSU who actually opted out of playing in order to, who actually took a pay cut to basically focus on the social injustice that's going on in society. You do have those athletes that feel like social justice is more of a priority than actually getting on the field or getting on the court, whatever their athleticism skill is. But I think it just comes with the most thing is sacrifice. And you have LeBron James, he's very vocal, always been vocal. And you have to realize he's also a leader in the NBA. He's one of those, a lot of the younger athletes, even people that's OGs that's been in the game, also look up to. So he's very vocal on social media. Does he get backlash? Yes. It's part of being a Black person. It's part of being a Black male. It's part of being a Black woman. You're going to get backlash regardless. If you're not doing what the white folks want you to do, then it's going to be some type of, negative standpoint on it. So I think it just comes with sacrifice. And with what we said earlier about the organizations, the NBA, the NFL, WNBA, when it comes to the NFL, I think it's a money decision. It's definitely a business transaction. We've always said that. That's always been the case. We can look at the Cowboys, Jerry Jones. We've always called him the slave master, of his team. When, I don't know y'all, but I definitely do.
This was about to be my point. So.
Right, yeah, I was about to say, I love the Cowboys dearly, but as far as the organization as a whole, I hate it. I don't really care for Jerry Jones. I think it's time for him to give it up anyways, but who he's going to give it up is no better. So I think it's more of like a business transaction. We have to look at, if I say jump, you should say how high. That's really how the motto goes when it comes to these athletes. And they don't understand the privilege that they have. Like you were saying earlier, Chanel, about the advantages that these Black athletes have into using their platform to speak on a lot of these social injustice circumstances that are happening to our Black women and Black men. It's like, okay, if I don't want to talk or I don't want to speak on it, then it's just what it is as an athlete. You had athletes that were going to interviews, justice for Breonna Taylor, justice for Breonna, like every answer was justice for Breonna Taylor. That's how you use your platform. And I think that goes back to tie in with your question about if it can collide. It could definitely collide. It's just how much is the athlete willing to go far, or would they feel like their image or their reputation would be tarnished? And I think that's one of the big things overall. So.
And I think, to piggyback off what you're saying, I think that the reason why sometimes athletes don't want to use their platform, or, they don't feel the need to, because, and this is people in general sometimes, because it does not directly affect them, but that's what makes it different to be a woman, specifically a Black woman, because we have that compassion, we have that we have that compassion bone in our body where it doesn't really matter if it's affecting us or not. Like, we know right from wrong, and we, we're going to stand in our truth, which is why we see, again, everything that has happened during this pandemic, during this social injustices. It's been Black women on the front line doing what they needed to do, not just the WNBA. Because if you think about the WNBA, they all had Breonna Taylor on there, but there was no confusion. Like with the NBA, some people were kneeling, some people were standing, some people had Love Us, some people had, it just looked like they weren't together. But the WNBA, they all had Breonna Taylor, they all kneeled, they were on one accord. When the Jacob Blake shooting happened, they were going to play because nothing changed with them. They were going to come out in their bullet, when they had like the bullets on the back of their t-shirts, because they run as a well-oiled machine. When you watch Naomi, Naomi for her tennis match, she already knew what her role was. She was going to do, she was going to wear her mask, and that's what she was going to do. With women, or with Black women, there's no thought about it. Like, this is what we're going to do. And it's, it's from right from wrong. Like, we're just going to do it this way. We don't care what people think. We don't care, what other people are doing. We don't care if it's directly affecting us, but this is right and this is wrong. And this is how we're going to go about it. And I think sometimes men and, sometimes they have trouble, like, connecting to something if it's not directly affecting them. Now everyone, oh, that's why Kaepernick was kneeling, because this social, we didn't watch somebody die. How many times you got to watch somebody die on, like, for you to realize why was it so important for him to be kneeling? Now it's affecting you because, like, oh wow, I can be just like, now owners are speaking out and they're showing their ignorance. So now athletes are like, wow, I guess I'm not, I guess I can be a George Floyd. I guess I can be a Jacob. Like, yes, you can. So now it's affecting them. And now they're, they're kind of using their platform, which is great. But I think that's why sometimes certain athletes have trouble using their platform, because it doesn't click to them. If it doesn't directly affect them, it's not something they see needs to be done.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm gonna say one more thing. Speaking back off of Chanel, I think it also comes to a more of a security thing. Like, I'm an athlete. People know who I am. People know, like, if I get pulled over by the cops, for some people it works, for some people it don't. If I get pulled over by the cops, I'm like a player, like, that's known. Like, let's say I'm LeBron James. I get pulled over by the cops, I'm most likely probably gonna get off because I am LeBron James. And I think a lot of the Black athletes might get into a sunken place of being a athlete, where they forget that they are Black men. They forget their role in society. Like, when you get off that court, you're a Black man. At the end of the day, when you're on that court, you're a Black man. When you go home to your family and you're Black, you're a Black man. So I think that's one of the things that I think is more of an identity issue that a lot of these athletes need to understand and really open up to saying, like, dang, even though I might be a Black man, I have a privilege over other Black men that, are just, mechanics, or just doctors or firefighters. Like, they need to understand it. And I think that's also another thing that we as Black women, we've always known that we're Black women. That's something back in the day since slavery. We're the caregivers. We've always been the caregivers. We've always been the people, like you mentioned earlier, Sequoia, that we're in the front line. It's just, we have to, that's how Black women are, we're nurturers. So we're always going to take up for the Black men. But it's sometimes I kind of question, and I don't know if this is something that y'all deal with, but I kind of question, dang, does the Black man really have my back the way I have theirs? And it's always a debate on social media. Like, you have to realize, especially when it comes to dating preferences, as far as, okay, can you really understand for like Daniel Cameron? He's dating a white woman. Can you really understand, even though your mom's Black, you chose somebody to, not saying that it matters, but it does. Because it's like, how can you be for me when you're too busy basically being a clown for your white side of the family? That's what I have an issue with. And I don't know, this is a conversation that needs to be had, that I tend to have debates with on Twitter, and I try not to take it there. But at the end of the day, I'm a Black woman. I'm gonna always stand for my Black men. But sometimes I do question my Black men, and I have to sit down and it can be conversations that you should have with Black men in your family, in your group, your friends? How do they feel about Black women? You'd be surprised. You would. So it's just, that's one of the things that I feel on. I know I tend to like really, I connected it all. That's all I'm saying.
It's okay. I totally agree with you. And just to pretty much sum all of everybody's input or whatever together, I would say that it goes back to just, okay, this Black athletes, we could take football or basketball, for example. This Black athlete, he's great. He's amazing. He may came from from poverty, or from a situation where he just have to get out. He's only solely relying on his talents and his skills. He get a scholarship to this big white university, this big D1 school or something like that, where yes, he about forgets that he couldn't be a George Floyd, or he can be a Jacob Blake or something like that, because why they're praised at these big schools. They don't get treated like your average, Black guy that's in nursing school or that's going for electrical engineering or something like that. They get praised at these bigger schools. So once they make it to that next level, it really doesn't affect them now, because I have a lot of white friends, or I have a lot of people that support me that's this color. They give me money. The boosters, everybody, they support me. They support your craft. They support what you can do for them. And it's not necessarily they see me as me. And at the end of the day, when you're in your civilian clothes and out of that uniform, you are a Black man.
Or like a bad game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of that goes with that. And even with them choosing that other side, it's when you get to a certain status, they feel as though that's what they have to do. And it's, we can go on and on, but I was told we have to wrap this up, guys.
Go on and on.
We can go on and on about that one, but so we have to wrap it up. So I just want to thank all of you ladies for joining us on this panel today. It was amazing. I wish we can do something like this about at least once a month. We're going to talk to Tony about it.
I know.
Absolutely. So I thank all of you for watching. I want to give a special thanks to Exposure and Spot On Sports for putting this on for us. And just for, thank Tony, because you're thinking about us ladies in the sports industry, and we really, really appreciate it, because a lot of times our voice is not heard. And this was giving us that platform, the opportunity to let our voice be heard. And we really, really appreciate that as well. And we want to thank all of our viewers for watching today, all the people that supported us and reposted our flyer. We really appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And if you want to watch this video, if you did not catch the beginning of the video, this video will be posted on our social media, our YouTube page, and our Facebook page and Instagram, as well as Spot On Sports. And once again, I am Sequoia, and thank you guys for watching, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.